Welcome back to our final conversation for this morning, Isani, and it's all about our Belizean author Madeline Dyer and her new published book, her inspirations. So, good morning, Madeline.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Madeline.
So, we're here to talk to you about your published, newly published, your first publication, children's book, and it's titled Inspiration. My Inspiration, right? So talk to us a little bit about your inspiration for this inspiration.
So the inspiration behind the book is my daughter, of course, because I have a dedication page to her. And the reason why I was inspired to write it was because my daughter is autistic. She's 11 years old, and when she was a lot younger, she struggled with certain things. Socializing, communication was very late. She started speaking at about 7.
Oh, wow.
So now that she's 11, her progress is so immense that she still is autistic, but you can't really tell. And
She's
that's
high
because,
functioning.
well, that's what they consider high functioning, but a lot of work was put in from her father and I. For example, when it came to reading, we didn't teach her letters. We focused on what the sounds are instead of the letters. And that accelerated her reading. To this day, my daughter is not the best speller, but if you give her just about any book, she can pick up and read.
Yeah.
And for me, when I was going to school, my daughter was the biggest inspiration for me to finish. Prior to, I didn't really have like the motivation. You know, you start school and then you drop out and then you try to get back in, and it's not that easy. So this was actually written when I was doing my medical technician license. And I had baby hair and book hair. And I remember one time I was just studying because I had an exam the following day to get my license. And while I'm rocking this baby, she is fast asleep and I'm studying, trying to focus for the next day. And I looked over at her and she was just so peaceful and calm. And it really gave me the courage to push further and to get my education. I did end up passing. I got a 93, and that's when my entry into the medical field started.
Wow.
So
interesting story.
Right. I really like that you went there, because the cover of the book is all about graduating and finishing, well, not finishing, but graduating, completing a chapter in your life. So what is this is a children's book.
Yes.
So what is the synopsis of this particular story?
So some of the pictures are actual pictures of me and my daughter. And what I did was I had the young lady that was doing the paintings or the drawings, and to transfer them to digital printings, watercolors. And what we did was I said to her, don't make it look exactly like me. So she animated a lot of the imagery, but a lot of them can be found in my album. And the front picture is actually me and her when I graduated with my medical technician license. And then in the end, at the back, I can show you guys really quickly, is the image of her with her family.
Oh,
and she's finishing school. And the back tells you, that I want her to inspire her kids.
Yeah. I like this a lot, because I like the story of why you wrote this book.
Let's talk a bit about this book in the context of perhaps other children who are either dealing with issues of autism or learning. Talk to us a bit about that.
Okay, so learning differs for every student. There's no two students that are alike exactly when it comes to education.
Yeah.
And as a student that struggled myself in the educational system here in Belize, I can tell you that I didn't really get assistance with my learning until I went to the US, and they did these analysis and they tried to put you in categories as to where you fit, and then they provided you with tools. For example, I don't write notes. Even in college, I actually draw my notes.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And when my professor first saw that I learned with drawing, they took my book because it was very interesting to have that one student that learned differently. Now, I can memorize a lot of things visually through writing my notes, drawing my notes. And it has worked efficiently for me over these past few years. I still have a couple more years of college to go. And I have like a 4.0 GPA.
Yeah. So with persons that, parents that have children with autism, what would be the advice then that you would provide for them the way you taught your daughter how to read?
Focus on their weaknesses, and I do it that way because children with autism, they need structure, guidance, and a lot of support. You telling them no and not replacing the no with something that they understand is not going to help them. For example, my daughter we don't do TV with her. TV, phones, tablets are a no. And now that she is getting older, we introduced it to her, but in small dosage. We focus on socializing at home. We focus on family time because autistic children especially need a lot of interaction to develop tools to help them to be successful, not only in social environments, but inside the classroom.
Yeah, and then that brings me back to this particular book, because it kind of showcases that they still can continue and be successful in their lives. So how do you talk to your daughter about this particular story?
So there's a page in there where mom and daughter aren't getting along, and you will find that as parents you don't always get along with your kids. I have a thing with my daughter where whenever we're having any type of conflict, I asked her, and she's like fussing and crying. I don't yell at her. I don't spend time beating her down with words or anything like that. I actually focus and say, well, in this moment right now, what is it that you need? And I leave her to verbalize and tell me how I can be better at or support her in that time of need.
Yeah.
One other thing that my husband and I do is that we have Saturdays are family nights.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what we did, especially because she was autistic and we really wanted to like get her into the mood for school, was we bought flashcards and we threw them on the floor, and him and I pretended as if we didn't know how to read them.
Yeah.
And we would focus on the sound, and it helped encourage her to read. So again, autistic children need a lot of, how do you call that? A lot of time socializing with parents and less TV time.
One-on-one attention.
Yes.
That's really beautiful, because I think that we're just starting to get into this present era of understanding that there are special needs children out there, there are autistic children out there that need that TLC. How does your daughter feel about school?
Okay, so she loves school. Okay. She's currently going to a really good school that provides her support. For example, in the US, she has insurance, and the insurance provides her with a nurse, a speech therapist, and all those additional supports that mom and dad can't give her around the clock because we're working.
Yeah.
But what it also does is it gives her that ladder, I guess you would say, to see if she needs the support continuously. They do an analysis every year or every couple of months to see where's her strong or weak points. And during the summer, her dad and I would take those times to take her to museum and support those weak points and help strengthen her for the following school year. She's actually an honor roll student.
Wow.
And she just got into the honor society, which is a big deal because going into school, if in the US especially, if you don't get into certain programs you don't get into private institutions, and my daughter is already thinking about college.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's looking forward to leaving home.
Oh wow.
And she's only 11, so she's literally at 11. She's very mature. She knows she wants to leave home. I don't know where she's gonna go, because I'm thinking about keeping her close, but she is ready to fly.
Perhaps she already has that planned out.
She said she's gonna be a lawyer.
Oh, okay.
She
So
has this plan.
Yeah. Nice.
but this book is one of your other publications. So
Yes.
what you are a medical student, you're a medical technician. So what is the purpose of writing children's books?
Initially, I wasn't going to publish it, right? And my professor came upon it one day, and she said, "This is really good. You should publish." And that's how I started getting into the publishing field. And I did this one, My Mom the Cook, and Caribbean Tales. And some of them are about bits and pieces of my life here growing up in Belize, because you will never have a childhood like the one you have in your own country.
Yep.
Very true. Yeah.
And so I highlighted the country, because some of the images people here will be able to relate back to in some of my other books. And I'm working on my science-based ones called Flora and Friends, talking about skin flora and the purpose of it is to encourage hand hygiene. So I have a few out there already. One is in progress of being published as well. So it's getting into the science field.
And so where can we find your books?
In the U.S., you can purchase this at Walmart, Target, Barnes & Noble, Amazon. I'm working on something here with Angela's Press, so eventually it will be available here. So it will be around.
Okay. And do you believe that this kind of book, what is the age range that kids can read this book?
It's an intro reader.
Okay.
But what I'm finding is that kids that are in their teens, that especially, I had a review from a 13-year-old.
Okay.
And she was expressing that, you know, her and her mom are at that stage where they're not agreeing because she's entering to the teenage phase, and mom was born in the 80s, so she doesn't, you know, they don't understand
each other.
Yes. And so for her, the page that made her cry was the one that says, I pay attention with love and care. I love her most even when she thinks I'm not there.
Aww.
And a lot of times that's always a disconnection between individuals. So I'm learning that people that are in their preteens, teen years also enjoy this little short read. Moms can relate immensely because parenting is not easy.
It's always a challenge.
Yes, there's no guidelines.
Yeah.
Madeline, I really am looking forward to your other publications. This is a lovely read for your kids. Did you learn anything new about your daughter while you were writing this book?
Yeah, that I know nothing about parenting.
Oh, I don't know if that's true.
When I had my daughter, I feel like she taught me who I was. I didn't know who I was until I always say to her that she's the best thing that I never knew I needed. And I say that because until I had her, I was just enjoying life, going out, you know, partying here and there, doing whatever I wanted. And once I saw that plus sign, it literally changed my perspectives. I prioritized a lot more. I redefined friendships and family connections. It was just all about her and making sure that her space was safe enough to penetrate, and it had guidelines to support who she's supposed to be in the future.
Wow, wonderful. My Inspiration can be purchased on Amazon and other places in the United States, and hopefully we can get some copies here in Belize. Madeline, thank you so much for dropping by this morning. Do you have any final words for our viewers today?
Be the best version of yourself, you know, and even if you need to work on it, take your own time, get a journal, and figure out where you want to be and how you're going to get there on your own. And do not measure yourself or your successes by anybody else, because we all get there at different strides.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. We got to take the break, Isane, and we'll be back to wrap things up. Stay with us. We'll be right back.